Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
The Public Works Minister places a price tag on money owed to BPL.
The Defense Force Commodore gives an update on the search for missing pilot Byron Ferguson.
2 men were brought before the magistrate's court on fraud-related charges.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. One day after more than 100 senior doctors withdrew services, prompting a shutdown of the majority of services at Princess Margaret Hospital, Prime Minister Dr. HUBERT MINNIS revealing today that he will be stepping in to help calm the rising tensions in the public healthcare system. Jasmine Brown reports.
Mounting tensions between doctors and the Public Hospitals Authority has not gone unnoticed by the Prime Minister, who told our news team today that he will be reaching out to executives of the Consultant Physician Staff Association in a bid to find a solution.
I will call Dr. Monroe today as a colleague to find out what the issues are, and we can speak as colleagues one-on-one, find out what physicians are, and we would work towards coming to an amicable resolution. I will also call the President of the Nurses Association and work similarly accordingly.
CPSA President Dr. Loxley Munro said on Tuesday approximately 115 senior physicians withdrew services following failed negotiations with the PHA. This prompted PMH to activate its Emergency Operations Center. The physicians have highlighted concerns with working conditions, a lack of health insurance, and said they have not received raises in 10 years.
The last thing any doctor wants to do is jeopardize patients' care. That is not our training. That is not our training. I'll give you an example. There's a particular doctor who, because he feels that patients are being may possibly be delayed in receiving their health care. He has offered services at his private office, free of charge. That's how doctors are. That's how we are. We are not driven by money. We are driven by our profession, which is to care for people.
This is not the first time the Prime Minister has stepped in to address issues raised by healthcare unions. In August, he met with the Bahamas Nurses Union in a bid to address the long-standing concerns of the union, which are mostly related to pay and a shift system. As for the doctors' specific concerns, the Prime Minister said he did not want to speak to specifics just yet.
I don't want to make a comment yet until I speak with the relevant individuals. I have all intentions of calling the individuals so I can find out what the issues are, and we'll move forward from there.
Are you confident you can mediate this issue?
I'm confident doctors are very reasonable individuals. They are professionals. And I'm confident that we can come to an amicable resolution.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, thanks, Jasmine. Well, if the government can't sense the level of discontent in the country, it is out of touch. That's according to Bahamas Christian Council President DELTON, FERNANDER, who says he is concerned. Fernandez said rather than standing by, the Christian Council is willing to serve as a mediator in the midst of a standoff between the Public Hospitals Authority, doctors, and nurses.
And so maybe if we come to the room with a neutral negotiator, we could come to some conclusion that the two elephants will stop stomping on the ground and we as a people can move forward.
The Christian Council president says if things get to the point where all three organizations representing public health care staff are threatening action, it's the Bahamian people who will suffer. But the church, he said, is willing to step in.
We have professional mediators in the church, as the unions know and as the hospital authority knows, that we have those that have been trained in arbitration, those that are capable of doing this and they do it for a living, that we really can sit as a non-biased party. What I see here is an impasse. An impasse that is created through frustration.
But it's not just doctors and nurses up in arms. Teachers, the hotel union, and other civil servants have risen up to express their concerns as well. Fernander calls it a state of unrest that the government must be mindful of, or else.
There's a huge demographics in unions. And if you decide as a union, as a government, you're not going to pay attention, that's a block of people who are expressing their concerns to their leaders, which are union leaders. And this is not the time to get in any high horse and to say that you are too important to come down to a meeting and sit and hear the people.
The Christian Council president took his warning to government a step further, saying if the MINNIS administration ignores the cries of workers in the country, the result could be drastic.
If you see the temperature in this country, as a spiritual leader, I'm concerned. I'm concerned that people are really, really getting wind up. And if you can't see that and you don't experience that, then you are out of touch with the average day person in this society.
Amid growing frustration over high electricity bills, one member of parliament suggested that Bahamians take shorter baths, known by some as cowboy baths, to cut their power bills. While contributing to a debate on the bill to extend the value-added tax exemption ceiling on bills to $300 or less, Central Grand Bahama MP Ira Lewis advised Bahamians should also do their part to conserve energy.
Take shorter showers. You may say, don't get in my business. But growing up, in Wadaki, my shower was initially, we put a tub in the sun and let the sun heat that up a bit, and then you count down 1, 2, 3, and you duck yourself off, and that was the shower. And in the winter season, if the water was cold, you see the real cowboy come out. So let's take shorter showers and cut down on the use of the water heater. Fix leaky faucet.
Meanwhile, Works Minister Desmond Bannister sought to explain the reasons behind the increased electricity costs. During his detailed explanation, the Public Works Minister also revealed that money owed to BPL by customers across the country currently tops $5 billion. With more on this, here's Jasmine Brown.
The Public Works Minister led off debate in the House of Assembly as he attempted to paint a picture of how big an issue unpaid bills are at BPL. According to Bannister, the number of customers who have had their electricity cut off due to unpaid bills is 5,412, who collectively owe the corporation $5.3 million.
The very real question that we as legislators and we as policymakers have to decide is, what do you do about persons in that situation? Because the utility, as you see, can't afford it, and they keep up racking up more and more receivables. And then you know that the people are hurting, and they need to be able to get back on the grid to have power nowadays.
Bannister also revealed that New Providence accounted for the most delinquent accounts, with customers living without power totaling nearly 5,000 and owing BPL more than $4.2 million. The community with the second most delinquent accounts was North Andros, where 132 customers owe $128,393. Another Andros community accounted for the third highest number of customers who have had their power supply cut off for failure to pay their bills. According to Bannister's figures, in Central Andros, 116 customers owe BPL $34,000. Bannister gave the breakdown as members of Parliament debated the value-added tax amendment bill, which seeks to alleviate some of the burden on consumers by eliminating VAT on electricity bills under $300. He also sought to explain the formula behind the billing process.
When we see our fuel bill every month, we are actually subsidizing family island consumption. And I'll tell you why that is important. In contrast, the family island consumer does not actually pay the full cost of the fuel that he consumes because of the numbers in the family islands and the costs, the relative costs.
The Works Minister said BPL is plagued with many challenges and the outstanding payments owed by government agencies alone isn't helping.
We all have allowed it to have huge receivables that are outstanding and take it for granted. And the company operates in that manner, and we still get very concerned, having regard to where fuel prices were, that we have to pay bills, or we're being asked to pay bills.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, thanks, Jasmine. In other news, the search for the pilot of a 6-seater Piper Aztec plane that crashed 2 nautical miles from New Providence continues. Jared Higgs has the update from Defense Force Commodore TELLIS BETHEL.
following a highly criticized search for the six-seater aircraft that crashed into waters off western New Providence nearly 3 weeks ago. Defense Force Commodore TELLIS BETHEL says the search continues.
It continues. That still continues. We're in the search and recovery mode, and there's been no new finds from that. And so we're just going to see over the next couple of days as to what comes up, and then we have to make a determination from there.
The Defense Force's response to the November 8th crash prompted Attorney General Carl Bethel to lambast the agency during a Senate contribution, saying Marines need to be sensitized. This resulted in National Security Minister Marvin Dames describing Bethel's comments as off base.
Now, Bethel and the Defense Force came under intense scrutiny for their search efforts, but Bethel says this is just one of many challenging moments in his career.
Throughout my career, I have had many, many challenging moments. This is just one of them. And there are things that people never even hear about. We've had situations, I'll give you a classic example, talking about challenging moments. We've had a situation where we've had an aircraft crash in the Lake Kalani. And on that aircraft was one of our men who was on vacation. And we actually had to go to the scene and rescue and get him. And of course, he perished in that incident. And so we've been personally involved in incidents.
Ferguson's family and members of the public have said they do not believe the agency did all it could in its initial search and rescue efforts.
We have spoken to that, and we shared, and I think it's time for us to move beyond that, and let's focus on what can be done and move forward. You see?
The 34-year-old pilot's brother, Bjorn Ferguson, also insisted that he was made to pass 3 Family Island airports during his emergency, but was unable to safely land his plane on the unlit runways. 3 weeks since his plane fell off the radar, Ferguson's relatives say at this point, they're looking for closure. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
All right, thanks, Jared. Well, 2 men were brought before the magistrate's court on fraud-related charges today. Here's Julian Gray.
Carol Burrows in the white striped shirt was brought before Magistrate Cara Turnquest on several fraud-related charges. He was charged with 2 counts of money laundering, 2 counts of possession of a forged document, 2 counts of uttering a forged document, and 2 counts of fraud by false pretenses. It is alleged that between November 21st and 22nd, Burrows obtained 2 RBC checks, one in the amount of $7,000 and the other in the amount of $10,000, payable to Thomas Roll and Theodore Knowles, respectively. The checks were drawn on the account of Cable Bahamas. Burrows, who was represented by Ian Cargill, was also charged along with 28-year-old Juan Adderley on 3 additional fraud charges. The pair was charged with 1 count of possession of a forged document, 1 count of uttering a forged document, and 1 count of attempted fraud by false pretense. The duo allegedly attempted to cash a $10,000 check at RBC Mackey Street, which was payable to Ronald Cartwright, drawn on the account of Cable Bahamas. The 2 men pleaded not guilty to all charges. Adderley was represented by Kevon Maynard. Both Burrows and Adderley will return to court on the 20th of February 2019 for a voluntary bill of indictment. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Thanks, Jillian. Also before the courts, 28-year-old Clyden Stubbs was arraigned before Magistrate Cara Turnquest on the charge of murder. It is alleged that on August 12, 2018, he caused the death of Toriana White. According to police reports, White was killed while at a business establishment at Kennedy Subdivision. Stubbs was not required to enter a plea and will return to court on February 8, 2019. Still to come on Our News, HMBS Madeira Commission today, plus the DPM details government efforts to keep the Bahamas off blacklist. Stay tuned.